which is not what you see as per protocols every time those bilaterals happen. It was over 50 minutes that bilateral took place. He was also accompanied along with the NSA Blinken and also along with the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Let me quickly go across to Siddhant, who will elaborate how significant is US President's visit to Rajghat.
In Akanksha, and this morning President Biden is coming to Rajghat to pay tribute. Now you can see that he's speaking to Indian Foreign Service officers, perhaps those who are in protocol duty of President Biden. He's walking towards Prime Minister Modi, who will be welcoming President Biden at Gandhi Kutia, and both leaders will will talk about obviously will talk about yesterday's success and also about the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi. This very visit of President Biden is very significant, Akanksha, with regard to the kind of announcements which were made yesterday, or the kind of achievements which happened yesterday with regard to both India and America. And this is the second time that both leaders are meeting, or perhaps maybe the third time both leaders are meeting in a short span of 6 months. So it talks about the relationship, the bilateral relations we have with America, the strategic partnership we have with America, and also drawing your attention back, Akanksha, to the announcement of the connectivity project. So if India it has been announced in India, where Mohammed bin Salman and President Biden was present, sitting next to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But then again, that one project is also a part of a larger flagship connectivity initiative of America. So that is kind of an understanding between India and America, that on world scale it's America which is going to counter China, but when it comes to Indo-Pacific, then India is America's closest partner and a trusted ally, and it was once again established yesterday. Now look at the conversation. Both leaders are meeting after yesterday's success. It looks like they are having a deep conversation on some issue which is known best to them. But each time around, even yesterday also, at the time of welcoming the leaders, all the leaders were warmly welcomed by the Prime Minister Modi. But when President Biden arrives, he did spare some more moments to speak to Biden. Perhaps he also explained President Biden yesterday about the Konark wheel and the significance of that. Today also we have seen the similar candid moments between President Biden and Prime Minister Modi, where they perhaps spoke about something for a moment, and then Prime Minister, then President Biden moved to the other side. So even when these leaders meet, their body language, the way they strike conversations, it all talks about the partnership, the strategic partnership, the bilateral relations that we have with USA, and we all saw the result of the same yesterday, where US also in a way helped India to build consensus. Then there were the other arrangement in which the close allies of China, those who are partners with China in BRICS, were also on the same stage with President Biden for the photo opportunity. And then in the last but not the least, the announcement of the major connectivity corridor. So America is trusting India immensely because of this new emerging Indo-Pacific theater. And trust me, Akanksha, it is not easy to get both Mohammed bin Salman and President Biden on the same stage. It is not easy to get Russian representation and American representation and build consensus. If anybody can do it, any country can do it, then that is India, and that was again proven yesterday.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is why it's being called a monumental success, Siddhant. But I want to take some more information from you. There's a lot of sort of dissatisfaction being voiced by especially the American journalists, who are called, that select few are called the spray pool. And in fact, as we speak, let me also inform our viewers that the president of Brazil, the Brazilian president Lula, is also arrived. Remember, he's not in the best of health, and yet he's managed to pay a visit not just to India, but he's also paying that homage to Bapu at Rajghat. Siddharth, coming back to the point that I was making, there's a lot of discontent that's being voiced by certain section of the international media, especially American journalists who in fact voiced their anger about how they were not given access to the bilateral that took place at Prime Minister Modi's residence.
Well, yes, that's right. So, they are complaining about it, and perhaps they say that that they wanted access not just at the 7LKM where bilateral between President Biden and Prime Minister Modi happened, but also inside the Bharat Mandapam. So in total, I've been told there were 20 requests which were made from the American side, and those requests were and the Indian side refused to accept those requests, and even some say that is one reason that President Biden is not holding press conference here in India. Perhaps he's going to go to Vietnam, where he'll speak for the first time on what happened in India. But we are yet to get official word from the Ministry of External Affairs.
All right, let me quickly go across to Pallavi as well. Pallavi, a very important visit coming from the US President now, even though he's pressed for time. As we all know, he's scheduled to head to Vietnam. How successful and fruitful has US President's visit been? Remember, there was a lot of talk and questions being posed about whether or not absence of Xi and Putin will be advantage Biden. But do you think that Biden's actually been able to capitalize on their absence, not just during the bilateral with India, but also at a multilateral level?
Well, I mean, it's very interesting actually when you ask that, Akanksha, because what we do notice that when President Biden was in his multiple interactive, he seemed to be wanting to give that space or that stage to India. He didn't want to take away that credit, not wanting to act as a big brother, considering the fact that, of course, America is seen as a superpower. Also the fact that he shares very good personal equations now with the Prime Minister, and on multiple platforms, not just the G20, but on multiple platforms. I think it's at times become extremely evident from the way they walk up to each other, the way they talk to each other. And when I remember the Prime Minister yesterday was announcing the New Delhi Declaration, or even later on the corridor that we are talking about, you had President Biden looking on, smiling, very indulgent, but at one time, and encouraging also, I would say. I think this matters to India because, especially the fact that there could have been pressure on India as far as vis-a-vis our China policy is concerned, vis-a-vis our Russia policy is concerned. I think one thing which binds India and America also largely together, especially if you talk about diplomacy is concerned, there is this concern which comes often across is that is India under pressure from the developed countries, some of them, and particularly from America to make us stand clear vis-a-vis China, to stand up to China, more importantly to stand up to Russia. I think to that extent India has been able to send this message across even to America that we are not going to be buckling under any pressure, just as you are our friend, but one of our oldest friends and allies has also been Russia, and we are going to pick and choose where we want to interact with whom. And I was speaking about the Russian oil a short while back. As far as America is concerned, I think they've conceded the fact, they've accepted, they seem to be giving us the space. They did not want to take credit. To that extent, the President has certainly been one of our best friends and allies, especially during the G20 summit. Of course, in diplomacy, nothing happens without a quid pro quo or without a give and take. I guess America would also want India to open its doors and not believe in complete or 100% protectionism. And this is a point which the President has often made it clear in multiple platforms, where we look at India as a safe, positive investment haven, and we do want India to open up its doors to us also and embrace the fact that, when you talk about international cooperation, it also means that you cannot be only inclusive. You also have to be, yes, Atmanirbhar, but at the same time, you also have to understand that all of us have our concerns, and we would like to look at India as a positive market.